Good evening, my brothers, and welcome back to another Masonic Talk presented by Craftsman Online. My name is Brother Michael R.C., and I'll be serving as the digital Tyler and the host for this evening's presentation, although at some point we are hoping for a Grand Line visitor. A reminder that tonight's presentation is being recorded and uploaded to our website, which is craftsmanonline.com for playback. You can click on the Masonic Talks link if you'd like to view that on your own later. That's at craftsmanonline.com. We're also streaming live now on Facebook Live. So who is Craftsman Online? We're a New York State initiative by brothers for brothers, connecting brethren with leadership development, Masonic education, and celebrating the history of New York Freemasonry and the special men who have served and continue to serve our gentle craft. Just a reminder that the experiences, comments, opinions, and views that will be shared during this program are those of the individual Freemason and do not reflect the official position of a Grand Lodge, concordant, or appendant body or Masonic authority. A quick programming note before we get started tonight, I want to remind you that our next Masonic Talk, The Craft of Self-Actualization, with very worshipful Michael LaRocca, is scheduled for Sunday, November 14th at 7:30 p.m. If you'd like to be a part of that, the same way that you got to this meeting, RSVP now for The Craft of Self-Actualization, a Masonic Talk with very worshipful Michael LaRocca. It's coming up Sunday, November 14th, same time, same place. So let's get to tonight's program. I'm very excited to bring on the guests for this evening. We have quite a panel as we get ready to talk about Masonic charity. I want to bring in all of them together at once almost. We'll start first with Brother Todd Pederick and Andrew Agressi, who are both brothers from the Erie district. Brother Todd is the senior warden of Blazing Star number 694. And Brother Andy is a bit of a superstar. He's one of the reasons why we got tonight's program going on Masonic charity, as he had started an organization called Brothers of the Bread. So Brother Agressi, can you explain to us how you started this project? Maybe give us a little background as to how you work with food vendors and volunteers to help people all across New York State.
Well, I'll be glad to. We've got all that written up that we could just post somehow. Todd Paterick is good on that. But it all started, believe it or not, when I was a small boy on a very poor farm. We used to drive down to Buffalo, New York and get old stale bread and stuff. And we used to slop the hogs and feed ourselves. For our cereal, we were very poor. We used to take the dried rolls and bread and stuff, and pour cow's milk on it and soften up, and that was our cereal. As time goes on, that went away. Things got better, got older. And about 10 years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine who was involved in a food pantry. And he said, you know, Andy, believe it or not, bread is a hard thing to get. Because the state won't supply it because it's just perishable. So pantries have to send a volunteer to a store here, a store there, and it's their gas money, this and that, and it gets very difficult. So I remembered about what we did when we were kids, getting that bread. So I tried it. And what happened was too many people were taking that bread, and it wasn't as stale, just nowadays it's dated, so it has to come off the shelf. But they don't do that. It's not cost-wise for a bakery to go in and a vendor to say, oh, this is dated here and I got to date, this is good yet. Everything comes off, everything goes back with a cover date to cover everybody's safety margin for the FDA. The bread manufacturers didn't want to give it out because people got caught selling it in flea markets. So that stopped. So I convinced them by getting the 5013C from Trading Post in Springville, New York, about 10 miles from where I live, took it down there, talked to a Pepperidge Farm. We started off with a couple trays. They were happy with that. The main thing I discovered is being a brother, we always keep our word. We say we do something, we do it. A lot of pantries say, I'll pick it up. They never show. So we started showing a good record of always being there. They were happy. Now we got letters from the pantries thanking the Masons and the bread supplier for recognition, not for gratitude, but to show where it's going. So everybody's getting happier. Now that turned into hundreds of loaves a week from Pepperidge Farms. Then Schwebels got into that, and birds of a feather. Schwebels talks to people they know at Pepperidge Farm, and they talk to people in other bakeries, and they know each other, just like we do. So we got a good reputation going. And right now we got 3 large manufacturers. We don't mention manufacturers because they don't like it. What happens is they don't want people to say, oh, we want bread to give it to them people, and they don't show up. It's on the dock. Now it's affecting your business. You have to be punctual. And if you say it's going to be there, you're going to pick it up, you pick it up, and you have to get rid of it yourself. You gave your word. And that's what developed into this. Right now at the point, we got 3 large manufacturers giving all the bread. We're probably going to do 125,000 loaves of bread this year. So 40 to 50 pantries, Buffalo area, Springville, Batavia, Rochester, Syracuse, all down to Finger Lakes. Plus, we already put out 9 tons of jelly this year. We're getting jelly because they like our word.
Wow.
3 brothers went down with trailers and pickup trucks, and we came back with 5 tons of jelly in June. 5 tons, actual tons. So the person giving this to me said, Andy, how much can you use? I said, well, I don't want to get really greedy, Larry, but I'll take as much as you get. If you give me 12 tons, I'll get rid of 12 tons and I'll show you where it goes, every jar of it. He says, you got it. So far, we got 9 tons of jelly this year. And we just know 11 tons. We just picked up 2 more a couple of weeks ago. Glenn Capron, the past master of our lodge, went down by himself, picked up 2 tons of jelly and brought it back. That's a picture of me with 1 load of Pepperidge Farm bread in front of my shop before I took it down to the Trading Post pantry. That's only 1 load from 1 bakery in 1 week.
So when you started this program in 2010, did you have any idea that, 12, almost 13 years later, that you would go from just helping a few to many?
No, I thought I'd be just for local families. I live in a farm country rural areas. Like I say, I grew up in there, and that's what I wanted to cater to. I thought I just want to help around here. Well, it started to get bigger, and I seen it. So I was in the chairs going up the ladders, and I actually got out of the chairs to do this. We were rehearsing for a degree, and I was doing the working lecture, and I was stuttering, and I says, we'll coach you, Andy. He says, no, something's wrong. You can't do 2 jobs 100%. I prefer doing the Brothers of the Bread because I believe that's what we should do. There's a lot of people to do the other parts. So I stepped out of the chairs to do this. I spend probably 25 to 35 hours a week doing this. It's quite a job, and it's getting bigger and bigger, but to me, it's well worth it.
So
I mean, you look at the Lions are noted for years giving out eyeglasses, pick up old glasses. What more can you do for your country and community? Give out bread and food.
Right. And it kind of gets to the point of the theme of what we're talking about tonight, is that what I've always loved about Masons is that we are, those superheroes that quietly operate in the communities. Correct. Because we live there and we see, and when we identify a gap, we can step in and work together to kind of fill that gap with our Masonic cement. And you definitely are an example of that. And this is amazing because I keep coming back to the point of one guy who started out with this one idea to help a few people. You're now all across the state. You're out to Erie, Pennsylvania. How far can you take this idea?
All right. We're okay. The Central Railroad line runs from like Buffalo all the way up to the Hudson, Albany, and down to New York. That's the path I'm following. Just before the pandemic happened, we were hooked up with Albany. I was hooked up with corporate officers helping us. They're cooperating 100%. The corporate office in Norwich, Connecticut, Pepperidge Farm. We were hooked up there, and they made the connection to Albany and Brooklyn, New York. That's how far we were. I want to get back into that again because I think the Masonic Care Centers is only 20 minutes in New York City. It's only 20 minutes away from the Brooklyn warehouse, which is very large. And I'd like to try that again, get going with that.
Now, you had mentioned that you got this idea from, your youth growing up, your past, but the actual idea for Brothers of the Bread, this is an idea that is centuries old. And you teased us a little bit before, so you have to tell us the deeper Templar connection that exists here.
Okay, now correct me if I'm wrong. how I looked at it. Okay, I'm in the Knights Templar. You're studying about the Cistercian monks and how they got there. Cistercian, I believe in French means swampland. They were given that land because nobody wanted it. It was bandits and thieves. That's why the monks, the white monks, noted for a plowshare range in one hand and a sword in the other. They were driving the bandits and cutthroats out, according to history I understand. Now, they built their monasteries, about 28, 25, 30 people. Then they were spread out to a new one. Well, in around the 9th century, France was called Franc, I believe then, now it's France, was flourishing. They needed good parchment, and the other thing, a simple thing, good English oak. Because the geophysics of the planet itself, because of weather conditions, everything, and the fogs and the misty sea in the Britannia Islands, the British Islands, you get a lot of fog. The oak really grows strong and hard. Plus, good grass on the British Islands. And good grass gives good wool and good skin, good animals, believe it or not. So the Cistercian monks went there to the British Islands and bought back wagon wheels. They relayed back to France because their wagon wheels are strong with the English oak. And parchment. They do that relaying with their monasteries. So I got the idea. Why can't we do that? And what I did, I'll show you an example. Like I said, the Cistercian monks relayed their monasteries. This is how we did it when I first started off.
Wow.
I picked it up. The two small boxes where my hand is here is the bakeries. And then I took it to BJ's parking lot. And all these are brothers and lodges that came and met me there, and they relayed it to the pantries. Okay, that's the one part. Now, I presume some of you might know Jim Mcconnell. He's deputy in charge of departments of the tonight's Templars. Okay, now he picks up his bread, okay, in the parking lot, and he takes it to all the way to Rochester and to 8 pantries on the way back. All this is done with relaying.
Interesting. It's interesting that you're able to put that Masonic connection there. I really love it. And earlier we had shared your website for Brothers of the Bread, which very simple to find. It's brothersofthebread.com. Don't worry, we'll make sure that it gets out so that if people want to visit it and contact you and get involved with this charity, that they can. I want to turn over to Brother Todd Paderek because, you know, as a younger guy, you come into the fraternity and you see this amazing work, this charity that's being done that Brother Andy had started. What inspired you to become a brother in the Brothers of the Bread?
Part of it was his enthusiasm. He loves what he's doing and he wants to continue to. I cannot believe how much energy he has in doing this, picking it up himself with his car and a trailer and delivering it to the pantries himself. I wanted to help him out. I had a time where I needed help at one time and I wanted to give back. So this is a conduit for me to give back to those around me that had helped me at one time. I loved his
you said passion.
His passion, his model
Yeah.
for this. Yeah. And being able to help a brother and as well as help my community. That's Masonic to me. That's what I joined the fraternity for.
Gotcha. And it's also rewarding because I know when you have, you know, a family with children, you want them to see what the act of charity really is and volunteering and being a good steward. But there's also that moment too for a lot of young Masons where some of the talents that we have when it comes to, you know, creating web pages, helping out with social media, getting the word out for things, being influencers amongst our own generation, those are all valuable skills that we can bring to help brothers like Andy and these projects out.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I took it and I created the website. I put his Brothers of the Bread into the newsletters that I do. I'm there, first one there to help unload the trucks or pick up a couple loaves of bread, and even my kids. You mentioned having my children. They actually get involved. They help unload the jelly, unload the bread, stack it for me. So they're getting involved, and it's nice to see that trickling down to the next generation.
So here's what's amazing about Masonic Charity is that you'll hear an example like Brothers of the Bread, where, you know, one brother who finds a group of other brothers and we see a need in the community and we all come together. I want to reach out to our other guest tonight on the panel, Right Worshipful Anthony Perizia, who I've joked with Brother Anthony. He's a member of everything. I don't think there's anyone across our state who hasn't had the chance to meet you yet and doesn't know the warmth that comes with your smile or greeting. So welcome to our Masonic Talk tonight, Brother Anthony.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And you're in the hot seat because I wanted to talk about, you and I have had conversations about Masonic Charity and, you know, how these can vary from community fundraisers and outreach to maybe college scholarships, or most famously, some of the work that we do on a national and international level with some of our organizations when it comes to helping children and and the families of the children with their healthcare needs. So you've talked about this as a member of the Shrine, but also as a proud member of the Mid-Hudson District. So what are some events that you have been a part of that have been truly amazing that you wanted to share with those that are watching tonight?
You know, I always like events that are easy to pull off, are highly profitable, and don't take that much labor. So like, you know, we just did a trap shoot. Now I think it's our like 5th or 6th annual trap shoot. And it takes very few guys to set that up. As long as you sell out the entire event, you can really make some really serious money. I mean, it's probably about $2,000 or more before you even go into the extras at an event like that. And we donate that all to scholarships of graduating seniors in our area with a scholarship going to, you know, once they graduate to a college of choice.
And what are some things that when you're planning these, I mean, everyone's like, hey, I got this idea, I want to help out, but I know that you have some resources, some tips on to kind of help with the financial and the leadership management of this.
Yeah, the most important thing is, I always tell everybody, is you're going to have an event. Well, what's your target goal of fundraising? Because say you need to fundraise for a specific thing, like you're going to replace a boiler, so you know how much that's going to cost, or you want to make a capital improvement, or you want to make a certain donation to a scholarship fund. You know, you always start off with what your goal is, and then you can say, all right, now how do we get to that number? And that's when you can really start diving into how many people you need to show up, what would be the price point of that, and what are your costs associated with it. So I say that, you know, the planning process, you know, an idea is great, but you can have the best idea in the world, and if you don't set yourself a goal and you have no idea what your budget's going to be, you could get into costing yourself money rather than making money.
Right. And you wrote a wonderful article for craftsmanonline.com and introduced us to the walking brother, Eric Morabito, who I believe has finished up another one of his walks. So give us a little background on how Eric does this.
Actually, I was just talking to him this morning, I think, and the best part is, like, he doesn't stop. Like, after this giant walk, you know, all the way from Highland up to, you know, the Cypress Shrine Center in Glenmont, and then out to both hospitals in Massachusetts, and then finally to their temple there. It's pretty impressive to see what he's done in a short amount of time and how he goes about getting all what he does. So, and what's really, I think, like maybe steamrolled it is Facebook and Instagram. And he's got people from all over the world now donating to his walk for sick children that are in need of either burns or orthopedic, you know, hospitalizations.
And this started because he had a health emergency personally, and it was told by his doctor, if you don't do something about this, we won't be around to talk about this anymore. And he really took it to heart, so to speak. Yeah,
totally. He was very overweight. I want to say probably he probably lost 100 pounds or more just from walking. And he does it every single day. And then he it started off where he was just walking and picking up change that he would find on the streets, and he would donate that to the Shrine Center. And then he wasn't even a Shriner at that time. He wasn't even a Mason. It was after the fact that he was donating all his money and doing these events for the Shriners. really got him into masonry. And then now it's just exponentially grown and grown and grown. And he's responsible for, I think it's now over $100,000 donated to the hospitals and shrine events. So that's just one guy doing one thing with people helping and sharing his story, but it is just one person doing all this for our hospitals and our sick children.
Right. And I know that you've also shared too, some of the beauty of being a shrine is knowing that you're helping people in your area, in your community, and nothing can replace that moment, that reward. And that's what makes it special, is that you can see and you interact with the people whose lives you're really making a difference for.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we've vouched for so many, unfortunately had to vouch for so many young people in our area, and they all go to the hospitals. Even my godson was seen because he had a hip issue, but he was seen at the Shriners Hospital, and it's an amazing hospital. And it's really, I'm honored to be part of it and help out and contribute as much as we can.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you are on our panel here tonight. We have one more member to bring into the fold, and that's Brother Bill Fenty, who's the junior warden of Jephthah Lodge in the Suffolk district. And Brother Bill and I were talking about how Masons are charged to provide care and aid for each other. And Jephthah Lodge does this, and perhaps there's other lodges that have a benevolence committee of sorts that helps and raises money and conducts that. But Brother Bill, your role as the chairman of the benevolence committee, we had talked about this, that as a new Mason who comes in and goes through the line, tell us about the expectation that your lodge has set for Masonic charity when it comes to helping others.
Sure. Thank you for having me tonight. What we did is we came to a realization that, we were doing a lot of different charities, and we weren't really focused and organized in how we were approaching it. And one of our brothers said that, if you think about it, it is really important not only for us to reach out and help brother Masons, but also our community. And we said that what we wanted to make sure we were doing is putting together a committee that were responsible for two things: making sure that if we closed our doors tomorrow, people would notice and they would care. Okay. And that's what we want to make. We want to make a difference in the world. So our committee was put together with that charter. And what we've decided to do is we've organized our Masonic year into quarters. And in each quarter, we pick a different charity. We organize our brothers around it, and we go after it. So, for example, in the first quarter this year, so September, October, November, we're doing a clothes drive, a food drive, and we're doing Toys for Tots. Okay, last year during this time period, we took 15 large, big black garbage bags with the coats down to Helping Hands Mission in Huntington. We have in the Huntington area a large number of immigrants who, are either actually living, outside, kind of migrant labor kind of thing going on, or are just, plain homeless. And we were bringing them clothes. We brought 22 boxes of food stuff down to the mission also in November to make sure that we were bringing food. We were bringing Toys for Tots for the Marine Corps Toys for Tot drive. Second quarter, we usually help the veterans. Last year, through Beacon Lighthouse, which is a veteran-approved charity, we were bringing hot meals to the veterans that are actually homeless. Beacon House provides the housing for them. We were providing some food, we were providing them, really good hot meals so that they'd have something really good to eat. And then our third quarter, we go after Sunrise Walks. So Sunrise Walks is a great charity that we came to know about. One of our brothers had the need for their services. He had a daughter who had cancer. Thankfully today, thank God she's free of cancer today. But at the time she had cancer, and he became aware of Sunrise Walks. Sunrise Walks helps children with cancer by giving them back a summer. So they provide a summer camp experience for the child and their siblings free of charge. So this is about $6,000 a year to sponsor a child through this experience. So the first year we got involved with Sunrise Walks, we put together a team. We got about 30 brothers from Jeff the Lodge and their families, a couple of dogs in there as well. And we did a walk with Sunrise. Now, that was before COVID, so their walk was at their facility in Wyandanch, New York. And we, did this whole 3.5 mile walk, and we raised about $3,500. Since then, we've had 2 walks through COVID. Our last walk last year, we had 45 brothers, still had the dogs too as well, I might add. And we raised a grand total of just under $10,000 for that walk. And that included funds that the brothers themselves raised, matching contributions from companies and other sponsors, as well as some events that we held during the year to try to bolster some of our fundraising. We did a virtual happy hour because, again, we were in COVID. We couldn't get together in person as much as we wanted to. So we held a Zoom meeting quite like this. And we had trivia sessions, music. We managed to bring food to people. They would buy the dinners in box meals, and we would run them around and bring them to everybody for the party. And this way we could maintain social distancing, but still manage to have a good time. All of that put together, we raised a little bit over $10,000. So those are the kind of activities that we've been doing to try to focus our benevolence, get out in the community, and make sure that we're making a difference in the world. To add to that, one last thing, you asked about what we did for our brother Masons. We did start our own Benevolence Fund to help our brothers through the difficulties of COVID. And we've managed to put together a sizable fund that if we do have a brother who is having problems or issues, we can help our brothers out. So that in total is our benevolence committee.
Love it. I want to thank everybody who's attending tonight. For those of you who are in our Zoom portion of Masonic Talks, you can use the chat feature at any time. If you have a question for anyone who's on our panel, I'd be happy to use those as we get a little bit later into the evening. I also have some questions that are prepared for our panel for our guests tonight on the subject of Masonic charity. But first, we had kind of mentioned that there's the possibility of having a Grand Line visitor on the program tonight. And I think his Prius just pulled into New York City and has cleared. And Todd wanted me to say, for the first time, we get a chance to do this and introduce him as the Deputy Grand Master, our brother and friend, Brother Stephen Adam Rubin. Welcome back, Brother Rubin.
Thank you, Brother Mike. And thank you all. It's not quite exactly grand honors, but I'll take the applause that I'm seeing everyone do. I don't want to interrupt the program. It's such an important program, and I want to just really, I'm here. I literally just pulled in, and it's no longer Prius, Brother Mike, but I'm not going to say what I release now. But nevertheless, first, thank you so much for the kind introduction. That was my first introduction, other than at the Grand Lodge session as Deputy Grand Master. Obviously, I'm thrilled. Obviously, I'm so excited about, looking forward to working with all of you and all the wonderful brothers of our craft. I'm really just here because I wanted to just show my support for this important program. This is who we are as Master Masons, the charity that we do. I just left this morning's session when the District Deputy Grand Masters and staff officers and AGLs and other appointed Grand Line members were installed. And the Grand Master just gave such thoughtful and remarks about not only his program and vision for his term of office, but in particular, of course, Masonic charity and what we've done during the pandemic and before. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention the Battle Within charity that was started by Harmony Lodge and is now a not-for-profit corporation to raise awareness to veteran suicide. And I'm proud to say that Craftsman Online last Veterans Day did a special program with Right Worshipful Brother Dendi Natali, where they talked about the process they went to, having a brother within their lodge who was a veteran who succumbed to PTSD and committed suicide. And it brought this mission home to them. And this is what these brothers did. They didn't just sulk. Of course, they cried, but they thereafter put their heads together and said, what can we do to make this better? Now there's a remarkable a monument to all veterans who suffer in Buffalo, and just trying to raise awareness to this important topic. So this is our Deputy Grandmaster, our Grandmaster's charity for his term of office, and I couldn't think of a finer charity. But once again, there's so many wonderful Masonic charities that all of our concordant bodies and Brotherhood Foundation and Fund support, as well as our individual lodges. And I did catch the tail end of Brother Bill's thoughtful remarks. And so once again, thank you all for what you do. Thank you for being here tonight. Of course, the wonderful thing about these programs is that they're all, save for an occasional program or the reading room, they're all recorded. So brothers will have an opportunity to look back upon this and to gain the information that you are seeking tonight. And I'm not going to surprise anything, but we're actually talking about making this even more available to the members of the Grand Lodge of New York. And so keep up the good work, spread the word, spread the gospel about what we do. Unfortunately, tonight is a crazy night, with I know that brothers are all scattered across the state, exhausted, just getting home like I am from a very, very hectic weekend in Utica, but an important weekend. With that said, I will throw it back to you, Brother Mike, and once again with the thanks of a grateful brother. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you, Brother Ruben, and congratulations again. Anytime tonight, if you're still on, you have a question, you have an open microphone. I want to go back to our panel as we talked about Masonic charity, and Brother Steve set it up kind of nice, is that anyone can choose to do the right thing. And that could be stopping on the side of the road to help a stranger, volunteering for a cause, throwing a couple bucks in a collection cup around the holidays. But what we're told is that the Masonic way is to give without remembering and to receive without forgetting. And I had, told all of our panelists tonight that I had a couple questions that I wanted to throw to them and propose to them about Masonic charity. So, Brother Anthony, I'm going to start with you first on this one. How do you explain the difference between giving and charity to others?
The difference, so when our brothers come into the lodge, they've already probably been to, before they even actually get their petition, they've probably been to multiple events at the lodge. So I think that they definitely see the giving part, because we have different kinds of, whether it's a raffle or whether it's a door prize or 50-50, they're already giving. And then I think sometimes later they'll see the charity aspect as they see where that money is going. And, that's the really fun part. I know a couple of brothers said they do Toys for Tots at their lodges, and we do those too. And the fun part is having those new guys come in. They don't mind opening their pocket whenever we ask them for some money for one fundraiser or another, and then they see the money actually going out, and they see that the kids that are getting the toys, or they see the students that are graduating seniors get those checks. So I think that's the charity part where they really appreciate it, and then I think the giving they get right from the get go. They figure they got to be giving.
Yeah,
part of the craft.
Yeah, and it's true. I wanted to share, my story with two of the lodges that I'm a member of in the Old 17th in the Albany area. My mother lodge, St. George's Lodge. When you talk about giving, we all get together at the Price Chopper in downtown Schenectady, and we collect fruit baskets that we bring to older brethren. And these are brothers that just are not able to come to meetings anymore because of their age or their health, or a combination of the both, or Masonic widows. And we just bring it to them. We show up about 7-8 o'clock in the morning. We get our list of how many we wheel these fruit baskets out in a shopping cart, get them in our cars, and we go around. And it is one of the most rewarding Saturday mornings that I ever got to be a part of before the holidays. Walking up and it being bitterly cold outside, but bringing this gift to somebody and just showing that you care about them, that you're thinking about them, and the lodges as well. Very moving. And that to me was giving. Charity is another aspect where a lodge in Troy, Mount Zion Lodge, that I affiliated with, their idea was one of the members was a part of a nonprofit that helped women that were in abusive relationships find a firmer place to live. And he was like, you know what, the number one thing that these women need besides the help that they get from the organization is when they get into a new apartment, they don't have basic cleaning supplies to take care of themselves. So can every brother come together and let's try to, $20 and let's get, these cleaning supplies. And this might seem small, but it's the few things that when you're in that kind of a situation and there's someone who's thought about this need that you have, super rewarding. So yeah, Anthony, I couldn't agree with you more that there's a massive difference between the two. And I want to go back to Brother Andy and Brother Todd, because I think when you have a simple idea, and then when Andy was showing, the Roman way of distributing the bread, so to speak, with his charts, was pretty amazing. You get to a point, I'm sure, Brother Andy, where you need help or assistance, and or how do you manage this army of volunteers that you have?
Just waited. Patience. Patience is a virtue. I was told what my uncle says, if you ask somebody for help, and if the man pulls his hands out of his pocket, that's the man to help you. But my opinion, if you push too much to ask for help, you won't get good, strong, permanent help. Just wait. And the ones like Todd will come out. And that's what happened. The ones that came out are still doing it. They're dedicated to it, and they're every week. They will come. If you just show that it's a steadfast project and you're going to do it and it's working, the workers will come.
I didn't think the answer would be that simple. I thought you would have a chart or something that you could share with us.
Oh, I do. In which way, though? I mean,
no, I was just kidding. No, but I appreciate it. I think a lot of it when, someone comes to you and they're willing to volunteer and give their time, it's almost like bringing a member into the family, so to speak.
That's what it is. Yes. That's just what we did. I waited. And then as the brothers in the lodge seen how it grew, like Todd and that, then they started asking. And we took it into the fold. That's why I call it the Brothers of the Bread.
Yeah. I love that name.
Pardon?
I love that name. I think that's the best name for a charity.
Yeah. So and that's how it's worked. And right now, I got a whole list of all the brothers and names and all the lodges who are dedicated to doing it. And it's a fantastic thing. I mean, I got brothers getting up at 3:00 in the morning, like Todd, he made several trips. He just said a little while ago, you can bring another load down. And Jim Scotland in our lodge, the same way. And John Marcus in our lodge, who's belongs to Greek Orthodox Church. They wanted to start a pantry. He asked me. Now he's delivering stuff like that. And we've helped the shrine. We mentioned the shrine. We helped the shrine a lot. When they have their big chicken roast, we gave them rolls and all kinds of stuff. We help other lodges with,
as you can. Todd, I want to reach out to Todd for a second. Andy's talking about it's like a family and bringing people in and managing the volunteers. So as someone that's a part of a support, like how do you work with the other brothers that are in the Brothers of the Bread?
I'm trying to get better communication between the lodges. I have it set up so that the first Thursday of the month that we have a meeting online in Zoom. That's been taking off slowly. We do have email for everybody, and we do have everybody's phone number. If there's ever a need for somebody to go pick up a load somewhere, we do know how to get in touch with another brother. Let's say I can't get there this week. Brother Scotland will go get it. Worshipful Capron might go run down and get the jelly on his own. I'm trying to corral the cats in a sense and get everybody in line where this is what we're doing for this month. This is what's going to happen next month. This is what we've already done, and keeping track of everything and keeping track of everything that comes in, everything that goes out, and the ability of everybody else that's participating, what they can give and when they're not available, and respecting that as well.
Brother Fenty, I'm going to save my last question for you. The Greeks called it charisma, which means a gift. In Latin, the word is charos, which means dear or love. And over time, these two came together to form the word grace. In one of the best examples of working with the volunteer organization I ever heard was when a leader of the group said, time is just as important as giving money. And I think a lot of us think that the best way to help an organization is to dig into our pocket and see what we can do as far as that. But as you heard with the Brothers of the Bread, and I'm sure with your organization, the giving of the time, it starts to almost feel like a part-time or a second full-time job. But I think the important part is the reward that comes from giving. So what that warm feeling that you get, the celebration of the success of the work that you've done, the work from your labor, what's a big takeaway that you've had in some of the work that you've done for your lodge in Jepta?
I think, you know, when you see the impact that you have on somebody's life, I think back to, you know, our coat drive that we had with Helping Hands, seeing some of the people come in and, you know, here it is, it's, you know, 40 degrees outside, it's November, and they don't have a coat and they're walking away with warm clothing, and you can see the smile on their face, and knowing that you made that difference, you know, in someone's life who really needed it. I think to me, that's where the passion comes from. I think when you talk about giving and you reach into your pocket, it's a little impersonal. Okay. I mean, you're separating with some of your things. Okay. It's important, you have to do it, don't get me wrong, it achieves an objective. But when you can personally be involved and see the impact of your labors and the work that you did, okay, to make the world a better place, I think that's the point at which the passion comes. Okay? And that's what inspires people to come again.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. The charity is not a transactional relationship. It's really something that lasts over time.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Well, again, a reminder, any of the brothers that are in our Zoom meeting, if you have a question, feel free to fire that into the chat and we will entertain them. If not, for those that are watching on our Facebook live stream now, we're going to go ahead and close that down and say good night to you. Hopefully we will see you again on November 14th for our next Masonic Talk, The Craft of Self-Actualization, with the very worshipful Michael Araka on November 14th. So good night to those on Facebook Live from Craftsman Online. For those that are still in the Zoom room, we are going to leave things open for the next couple of minutes. If you wanted to reach out, you have a message to each other here. Think of this as the few minutes after a lodge meeting, we can all get together and it's an open forum. It's usually like an icebreaker or something. Feel free to ask a question. If not, thank you all for coming in tonight. If you need to log out to get to bed to go to work tomorrow morning, I totally understand. But if you had a question that you wanted to ask anyone here,